This is not a burial. This is not Isnwabo, it's a resurrection, was the first feature film at the Durban Film Festival 2020. Because of C19, I was able to watch it online for free. Check the description bar for the link. All you have to do is sign up and watch any of the films they have on selection for free. In a small village nestled among the pythonic mountains of landlocked Lesotho, an 8-year-old widow awaits the return of her only surviving family member. Her son, a migrant worker laboring in a South African coal mine. It is Christmas and he's due home. Sombre messages deliver the news. Her son has died in a mining accident. Mandwa winds up her earthly affairs and makes arrangements for her own funeral. Her plans are punctuated when she learns that the village is to be forcibly resettled due to the construction of a dam reservoir. This film was 2 hours of challenging, bizarre bleakness. I cannot begin to understand the sheer hopeless loneliness Mandwa, who's played by Mary Twala, was battling throughout the film up until her resurrection. There was a sense of tenseness in the film, not just in the story itself, but for me, the viewer. I felt tense and uncomfortable, but the beauty of the scenery and the vibrancy of the colors made it hard for me to look away or to distract myself. If you watched my Poppy review, I explained how color is used to show us not only the progression of the characters and the story, but how the gloomy color palette indicated sadness. Kodwa here is something completely different. The themes are heavy, but the colors, ziyaqaqamba. I felt uneasy, like something terrible might happen at any moment. And you want to know what added to that? The score. I felt it in the pit of my stomach, and let me tell you, I didn't like that feeling. Nakanjani na. Before I go on, I just want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. Now back to the review. Resurrection felt like a difficult conversation with death. With change. Sudden, unexpected, unwanted, sometimes prepared for, but never easy to accept change. I am going to make a confession. I've always viewed death as that full stop at the end of life that I'm constantly running to. Even though some days it seems like I'm trying to run away from it. There are moments, quiet moments, when my thoughts all somehow agree that all of this is going to end one day, and everything in me begins to scream for me to run and never stop running. Where am I running to? Andas, but run I must. The way Resurrection was designed, the shots, the scores, the camera work, was definitely inspired by Stanley Kubrick. There's a link in the description bar for a quick course on how to identify a Kubrick work of art. One of the things I want to talk about is the importance of grieving and dealing with loss, especially now. I am not a grief counselor, just someone who, God willingly, will make it through 2020. And when I do, I'll still need to grieve properly. Grief is the emotional suffering you feel when something or someone you love is taken away. The pain of loss can feel overwhelming. You experience all kinds of difficult and unexpected emotions, from shock or anger to disbelief, guilt, and extreme sadness. The pain of grief can also harm your physical health, making it difficult to sleep, eat, or even think straight. All of this is normal, and the more significant the loss, the more intense your grief will be. You may associate grieving with the death of a loved one, which is often the cause of the most intense type of grief, but any loss can cause grief. Ukuzila takes time. Healing properly happens gradually. There is no normal timetable for grieving. Some people start to feel better in weeks or months. For others, the grieving process is measured in years. It's important to be patient with yourself, and if there's someone in your life who is grieving, you have to be patient with them. Kufuneke uzilile. Don't ignore the pain. Crying is a normal response to sadness, but it's not the only one. The pain of grief can often cause you to want to withdraw from others and retreat into your shell. But having the face-to-face support of other people is vital to healing from loss. Even if you're not comfortable about talking about your feelings under normal circumstances, it's important now to express them when you're grieving. Comfort can also come from just being around others who care about you. Manto was part of a community that loved her, but she still felt deeply alone, so she chose to isolate herself. Isolating yourself will prolong the grieving process. Grievers can experience loneliness and depression. This pain too will pass. Being alone doesn't always lead to loneliness. Reaching out to others is a key way to lessen loneliness and to overcome depression. Sometimes, grievers can lose direction or any sense of purpose. At times, in the grieving process, a kind of drifting occurs. Grievers find familiar and necessary activities very difficult. Mantua had given up on living, and she started making her own funeral arrangements. She was firm in her decision to be buried with her children, her husband, no Koko Baake, and this was going to happen come hell or high water. And high water was on the way. The village where Mantua grew up, buried her husband, her children, and her grandfathers was under attack. They were asked to relocate for a dam to be built in their village. The government was in pursuit of wealth at the cost of homes, livelihoods, heritage, and history. Manto's resurrection was in fighting for her land and her final resting place. With that said, do you know what's happening in Xolobeni, Eastern Cape?
Us and the land, we are connected. If you separate us from the land, you're killing some part.
An Australian minerals company wants to exploit a roughly 22-kilometre by 1.5-kilometre stretch of what, honestly, is some of the most beautiful coastal areas I've ever seen. For over 20 years, you've been fighting this.
Yes.
Amazing.
The two brothers, Patrick and Mark Carusos, and they told us that they discovered the minerals. They said, I will mine a little bit in the dunes. I'm not going to disturb anybody. And also there will be a lot of jobs for locals, and I'll build clinics, hospitals, better roads, clean water for this community. People, they said, no, we have livestock here. Our livestock eat the grass and drink this water that we have. And ourselves, we use these plants for healing ourselves. We're dependent on this. Now, are you not going to disturb all this? And people said, oh, no. It's clear that you're going to disturb our way of living. And this is not the way of development that we want. Please, leave. And he left. We suspect that he went to the government. They told them, don't tell them the truth, that you're going to mine. Tell them that this is a study coming from this government, because it was recently after the democracy, and everybody, we trust the ANC. Nobody was against something that is coming from the ANC, because ANC is Mandela.
There's more information about what's happening at Xolobeni in the description bar, as well as petitions that you can sign. Diyanicela. They have been fighting for almost 20 years for their land, but the ANC government won't let up. Whatever you can do to help, please help. It's a Resurrection is an experience that will leave you empty. It left me empty. I wasn't even wanting for more, I just wanted some type of closure. Why did it end like that? And why did it leave me feeling like that? Iphele esithubeni. The end came when it was least expected. Laphela ngentsomi.